You did not choose to like alcohol. That choice was made for you 10 million years ago by a creature that was not even human yet. Here is what actually happened. Your ancient primate ancestors lived in tropical forests. Food was everywhere, but competition was fierce. Every calorie mattered. And one of the most calorie-dense foods available was ripe fruit. The problem was finding it before anyone else did. And this is where something strange and accidental began. Fruit falls from trees. It sits on the ground. Wild yeast lands on it. The yeast eats the sugars inside and produces ethanol as a byproduct. The fruit begins to ferment. And fermenting fruit smells different from fresh fruit. It produces a sharp, sweet, unmistakable scent that carries further through a forest than almost anything else. The primates that could detect that smell had an advantage. They found food faster. More food meant more energy. More energy meant more offspring. Over millions of years, the ones who were drawn to the scent of fermentation and whose bodies could handle the alcohol inside the fruit without shutting down survived better than the ones who could not. Primatologist Robert Dudley at the University of California, Berkeley, calls this the drunken monkey hypothesis. Your attraction to alcohol is not a flaw. It is a 10-million-year-old survival instinct that has not updated itself for the modern world, but that only explains why your body tolerates it. It does not explain why your ancestors started making it on purpose. For that answer, you have to go to Raqefet Cave in northern Israel. 13,000 years ago, a group of hunter-gatherers carved stone mortars into the cave floor and used them to process grain and root vegetables. Archaeologists found fermented residue inside those mortars in 2018. These people were not farmers. They had never planted a crop. They were deliberately brewing alcohol thousands of years before agriculture existed. Why would they do that? Archaeologist Brian Hayden at Simon Fraser University has spent years on this question. His answer is that alcohol was not a luxury for early humans. It was a social technology. Fermented drinks were used in rituals, in feasts, in the gatherings where alliances were formed and leaders were recognized. The person who could produce alcohol had status. The community that shared it was bound together more tightly than one that did not. In a world with no laws, no governments, no institutions, the shared experience of a fermented drink around a fire was one of the earliest forms of social glue your ancestors had. They did not start drinking because they were bored or unhappy. They started drinking because it made their communities stronger, because it created trust between strangers, because it marked the moments that mattered: births, deaths, hunts, alliances, celebrations. Alcohol was not an escape from life. For your ancestors, it was woven into the fabric of it. And then it went further. The desire to produce fermented drinks reliably and repeatedly may have been one of the reasons humans stopped moving and started farming. Not to grow bread. To grow the grain needed to brew. Alcohol did not follow civilization. It may have pulled civilization into existence behind it. You did not choose to start drinking. Your ancestors did. And they did it for reasons that made complete sense in the world they were trying to survive.